Welcome to the official Football League video of Sunderland season 1990-1991. Back in the First Division after 6 seasons down the league, the Rokerites aim to stay in the top flight. You'll see all the goals from all the games as Sunderland's young talent takes centre stage. Promotion back into the First Division came as quite a surprise to all concerned. 6th place in the Second Division and a Wembley playoff defeat by Swindon should have meant another season in Division 2. But Swindon's mismanagement and misfortune allowed Sunderland a reprieve, and they were back in the big time. Dennis, it was an unusual way to get into the First Division. What sort of problems did it give you as a manager when you heard the decision?
Well, I was trying to improve the side anyway, so I was looking to bring players in. Fortunately, once I went to the First Division, it made it easier for me to bring the likes of Peter Davenport and Kevin Ball to the club. They didn't take as much convincing, but generally you're just looking around and saying, okay, you know it's going to be difficult and you need better quality players.
As Dennis said, the only major acquisitions during the close season were Peter Davenport, the ex-Manchester United and Nottingham Forest striker, who joined from Middlesbrough for £350,000, and Kevin Ball, a central defender from Portsmouth, bought for the same price. 2 players left the club, Eric Gates to Carlisle after making over 200 appearances, and Paul Lemon, an ever-present during the 87-88 Division 3 Championship season, whose opportunities were limited last year. So the first-team squad at the start of the season looked like this: the goalkeepers Tony Norman and Tim Carter. Defensively, Ball joined last season's stalwarts Agbula, Hardiman, Bennett, McPhail and Kay. Bracewell, Hours and Armstrong were the core of last year's midfield, with Armstrong and Hours showing an eye for goal. Up front, last season's top scorer Marco Gabbiadini would now be partnered by the former England international Davenport. Colin Pascoe would be missing from the opening games through injury. So a great day, the first game back in Division 1, away at Norwich City.
Despite the sale of 2 of their best players in the summer, it was a stylish Norwich City who first caught the eye against Sunderland. Winger Dale Gordon's thumping left-foot shot giving the home side an ideal start. Then, just 2 minutes before half-time, Norwich went further ahead, Tim Sherwood bravely slotting one in at the near post to make it 2-0. But Sunderland showed commendable spirit and fought back strongly. Peter Davenport marking his debut with a clean finish from his own rebound after the ball had struck a post. The newcomers were right back in it now, and when Gabbiadini swerved a 25-yard drive past a despairing gun in the Norwich goal, a point on their return looked the least that Sunderland could hope for. The power of Gabbiadini's screaming shot well illustrated from behind the goal. But the fairy tale wasn't to have a happy ending. Robert Rosario headed down dangerously, and Rule Fott seized on the opportunity to give Norwich the points and to remind Sunderland that the divide between the top 2 divisions can be a big one.
A good performance in the opening game, but a poor result. In midweek, Tottenham Stars came to Roker Park, but were outshone by Gabbiadini, and making their home debuts, Kevin Ball and Peter Davenport. Ball had replaced John McPhail in central defence, McPhail playing his last game for the club on the season's opening day. He went on loan to Hartlepool in mid-September, and by the end of the year, that move was made permanent with a free transfer. The same 11 that took a point from Tottenham lined up at home to Manchester United.
Sunderland dominated the early play and took the lead. Following Gordon Armstrong's mazy dribble, Gary Owers caught United flat-footed. It was no more than they deserved, and they held their more illustrious and expensive rivals at bay until the 70th minute, when Brian McClare's header from Beardsmoor's nod back was right on target to equalise for United. With less than a minute to go, a draw looked an absolute certainty until a superb piece of individual skill from Gary Bennett, the Sunderland captain, consigned United to their first defeat, and joy on Weir side was unconfined.
On their first visit of the season to the capital, Sunderland soon found themselves a goal down against Chelsea. Kerry Dixon, the scorer.
But Sunderland struck back, and it's one of the goals of the day. Many more like this one from Marco Gabbiadini, from Brady's cross, and Gabbiadini could well be in Graham Taylor's England plans. Fabulous volley. Chelsea restored their lead when following some initial good work by Dennis Wise, who had a brilliant game. Kevin Wilson reacts smartly from that cross from Gary Paul. The ball off the post. Well, the to and fro continued. Sunderland refused to be daunted, and Brady, the substitute. Lovely skill. Round Besant. 2-2. It was a pity, though, such a terrific game should have been settled by a controversial penalty decision. The referee ruling that the Sunderland skipper Gary Bennett tugged Wilson's shirt inside the area, just there. It's a controversial decision, and Sunderland were unhappy about it. The referee making his ruling very clear. The Sunderland captain on Kevin Wilson. New signing Dennis Wise, enlisted to spot kick duty after Dixon's miss last week. He makes sure of Chelsea's second home win of the season. And it's Wise's first one at the bridge.
Fans packed into Roker Park certainly got their money's worth, but when Marco Gabbiadini was upended in the box by Andy Hinchcliffe after only 8 minutes, the prospect of another long afternoon for Everton loomed large. Peter Davenport made certain from the spot, and once again Everton were left to chase the game. However, showing the spirit that earned them a point against Arsenal last week, they drew level. Graham Sharp's free kick deflecting over an unsighted Tony Norman. Many of us wondered whether Gabbiadini could reproduce his second division form in the first division. But after a couple of spectacular strikes already, this impudent effort should dispel any lingering doubts. He has real pace, lashings of skill, and a nose for goal. 2-1 to Sunderland, but Everton got the equaliser they deserved on the stroke of half-time through Mike Newell. All the goals came in the first half. Everton had the better of the second, but both sides seemed happy with a point.
At Plough Lane, Wimbledon tried to impose their direct style on Sunderland, but the Weirsiders took the early honours. A nice chip from former Wimbledon player John Kay. Release Gordon Armstrong. Sunderland were in front. Then Sunderland out-Wimbledoned Wimbledon. Goalkeeper Tony Norman. Hesitation at the Dons' defence. And Peter Davenport. His third goal of the season. So Wimbledon were facing their third successive home defeat this year, but the Dons never lack fight. Detsy Krusniski, a fine volley, and they're back in the game. And now central defender John Scales popped up to complete the great escape with just a couple of minutes to go, leaving Sunderland to settle for their third draw since promotion.
6 points from 6 games, leaving Sunderland in 13th place. Enough goals going in, but a few too many being conceded. How were the teams settling in the First Division?
We started with some very pleasing performances, and the lads believed in themselves. And then they realised, as the season's gone on, the standard, the quality week in, week out. And it's the concentration over 90 minutes, over a full season, which at times they found difficult.
In the Rumbelows League Cup, Sunderland lost their first home game of the season to Bristol City. But for keeper Tony Norman, it could have been worse. There was a complete reversal at Ashton Gate, a 6-1 victory, giving Sunderland a record away cup win. The bad news, Thomas Hauser's ruptured Achilles tendon, which could keep him out for the season. Back in the league, the champions and league leaders Liverpool visited Roker Park.
Liverpool go marching on. Their 7th win of the season, their 7th in a row at Sunderland, and their best ever start. Peter Beardsley in magnificent form, with a little touch for Ray Houghton, who leaves Tony Norman stranded for the only goal at Roker Park. 21 points out of 21. Can anyone stop the champions? It's been a good week for Aston Villa and Joseph Benglosh. A good win in Europe, a plum tie against Inter Milan to come, and a convincing win on Saturday. Villa, though, didn't take the lead until the 44th minute. Gordon Cowans with a deep cross. Stuart Gray headed across goal. Ian Olney on the spot to guide it past Tony Norman. And then a dreadful mistake by the Sunderland goalkeeper settled the issue. You certainly won't want a tape of this attempted save from Tony Daly's shot for his home video. Poor Norman. He won't win save of the season with that one. And 7 minutes later, Villa wrapped up the win when David Platt headed his 6th league goal of the season. What an impressive goal-scoring record for the England midfield man. Sunderland manager Dennis Smith, tongue firmly in cheek, reckons that Marco Gabbiadini is the son of an Italian pasta maker who once played for Juventus. Gabbiadini opened the scoring, that's his 6th of the season. Peter Davenport very much involved. And a few more goals like this, the Italian league giants may soon be knocking on Smith's door. On the half hour, Wearside's favourite Italian dish, return the compliment. Davenport supplying the finish this time. Luton's poor defensive form away from home fails them once again. Not the happiest of weeks for George Graham and Arsenal, the London side's manager, finding himself over £9,000 the poorer after being fined for his team's punch-up at Manchester United. Back on First Division duty against Sunderland, Arsenal struggled to find their rhythm. Unnecessary penalty after 74 minutes. John Kay bringing down the Swede Anders Limpar. England fullback Lee Dixon converted the kick. An unconvincing performance, but Arsenal stay in touch with the leaders Liverpool.
Sunderland slipping down the table, that home win against Luton providing the only points from the last 4 games. And Derby County, fresh from their first league win, demolished Sunderland in the Rumbelows League Cup, 4 up at half-time with Mick Harford having a hat-trick. 6-0 the final score, Sunderland's biggest ever cup defeat. So a solid league performance was required as Manchester City came to Roker Park.
Sunderland led in 6 against Derby in the week, but 23,000 still turned up at Roker for the visit of Howard Kendall's Manchester City. And their faith rewarded after 26 minutes. Peter Davenport's goal from close range, and Sunderland are in front. City made of sterner stuff these days under Kendall. 6 minutes into the second half and they draw level. There's some good work from Neil Poynter, number 3. Winning the ball on that far side. Ward's cross, helped on by Quinn, and David White heads the equaliser. And after their unsuccessful exploits in the Rumbelows Cup, both sides were probably pleased with a point. best of matches, this one at Roker, in difficult conditions. Grizovic distinguished himself in the Coventry goal with a flying save from Davenport. And the Sunderland keeper, Tim Carter, proved he could do just as well, with a good block from Brian Borrows. The keepers won the day, the match finished goalless.
Stuart Pearce can hit a mean free kick. This wasn't one of those, but it goes to Nigel Clough, and Steve Chettle bangs in the loose ball. Forest came out a better team in the second half. This time it was Chettle and Clough again. Chettle through to Clough, turns beautifully, and he threads it home for Forest's first league win in 5 matches. Sheffield United, the only team in the league without a victory, and apparently doomed to return straight to the second division. And with defending like this, it's hardly surprising. The Blades at 6s and 7s, or is it 6s and 11s? Wilf Rostron and Paul Beasley combining to give the ball away to Peter Davenport. And he sets up Marco Gabbiadini for a clinical finish. 1-0, Sunderland on their way to their first away win of the season. You'd think things couldn't get any worse, but they did. Another elementary error, again from Beasley, and Gabbiadini there again. Christmas had arrived a month early for the Sunderland striker.
When these two met in the Rumbelows Cup last month, Derby won 6-0. This time Sunderland make all the early running. Peter Shilton's reflexes and the woodwork combine to deny them. But Derby take their chances. 37 minutes gone. Dean Saunders gallops through and beats Tony Norman. Number 10 of the season for Saunders. Derby's season getting into gear now, and they go further ahead on the hour. There's some good work from Briscoe. And Saunders on watch for a superb diving header from Mick Harford. Sunderland, though, always look capable of scoring, and they finally got the ball in the net in the last minute of the match. Solo effort from Gordon Armstrong, and this time 41-year-old Peter Shilton can do nothing about it. But Sunderland have only themselves to blame for failing to get an equaliser. Mark Patterson judged to have pushed Gary Bennett there. That seems a bit of a fortunate penalty, really. And it's Peter Davenport with a chance to make it 2-2. And that really sums up Sunderland's day.
Tottenham kick off. Sunderland in a change strip of blue shirts and white shorts, wanting to put behind them the disappointment of losing at home to Derby. Davenport. Mitchell Thomas going in crisply. 7 is Paul Stewart. An early show of strength, but the pass was easily picked off. Gabbiadini. Oh, and Davenport got a shot in. It was a mistake by Edinburgh here. Eagerly seized on by Davenport. Now Gascoigne, singled out for special attention by the Sunderland supporters as a former Newcastle United man, of course. Hours. And here's Gabbiadini. Davenport. Pascoe's got into the centre. He's still waiting. And Armstrong. Oh, it must be. It is for Pascoe. 9 minutes gone. And Sunderland are in front. A sustained attack, really. They were patient, and in the end they penetrated, because Armstrong was left by Van den Houw, and Torsvek could only push it out to Pascoe. Both sides are appealing, and it goes Tottenham's way. Naim to take the throw. And Gascoigne getting the ball momentarily stuck under his feet, but it was only momentarily. And it was a nicely played 1-2, but he was just leaning back as he struck the shot. Allen waiting for some movement. Stewart. Allen looking for a return pass, but Stewart uses Lineker. Well, the free kick's been given. Pascoe suggesting that Lineker dived in that shoulder-to-shoulder with Hardiman. Ian Hemley has given the free kick Tottenham's way. And with Gascoigne to take it, that could mean trouble here for Sunderland. Howells, now Naim. No foul this time. And Sunderland sweeping forward with Bracewell. He's got options right and left. Davenport. Brandon Howe showing him the inside. It's come back off the foot of Thomas to Davenport. And it's 2-0 to Sunderland. Well, this season they haven't always got the reward for the quality of their play, but they've come to White Hart Lane and taken a firm grip here in the first half of the first half. Mitchell Thomas inadvertently setting up Peter Davenport. Well, Ian Hemley has had to give way to injury to be replaced by his senior linesman. Justin Edinburgh hits it long. Brandon Howe's cross, it's an early one. Oh, and it's produced a marvellous header, but the goal has been ruled out by referee Alexander. Maybe not for a foul by Howells, was the pushing by Stewart. I think that's what the referee saw. Naim with a chance to attack Sunderland. Gascoigne almost getting in his way. Bennett cleared. Here's Pascoe. And Sunderland certainly not sitting on their lead. They want to add to it. That's Gary Hours with a most enterprising effort. Saw Torsfett off his line, tried to chip the goalkeeper, who just got back to flip it over the top. Pascoe to take the corner. The Sunderland support, which is, as always, terrific. They're really enjoying what they've seen so far. But they were relieved that the replacement referee ruled in Sunderland's favour when David Howells appeared to have scored for Tottenham. Well, Tottenham looking for the direct route. Here's Stewart, first time, and it flashed just outside the post. Maybe Lineker, following in, had gone into an offside position. And surely he was offside there as the ball was struck. Bracewell. Pascoe and Gabbiadini. It's not going to count. Gabba trying to outshine Gaza here. The flag was up. There's a change for Tottenham. and Justin Edinburgh goes off, and Paul Walsh is asked here to lead Tottenham to recovery. Still 2 goals down. Stewart. Walsh into the picture straight away. The linesman's flagging. Or I think what would have been a free kick to Tottenham. They're quite happy to settle for the throw. But they'll get their free kick now. And by Naeem. Coming up to 20 minutes into the second half, and Walsh has put a different complexion on the match. An inspired move by Terry Venables to bring him on. And he answered the call at the near post. Van Howe switched across to left back since the departure of Edinburgh. Oh, that might have been handball by Kay. It wasn't given. Tottenham had possession in any case. Walsh tries again, deflected! It's another one for him. He was peering there to see whether it went in. He will certainly get the credit. But as we see again, it was a fairly cruel deflection off Gordon Armstrong. Well, Tottenham trying to complete the turnaround. 2 goals down they were. It's 2-2 now, and Paul Walsh has come from the bench to really stimulate Spurs. Hours for Sunderland. Kay. He stayed forward. Gabbiadini on the ball. Oh, and here comes Pascoe! And Sunderland are back in front. Tottenham lost their concentration. It stayed at 2-2 for just 6 minutes. But Colin Pascoe came in from Gabbiadini's superb pass for his second of the game. Gabbiadini. Sunderland's policy still to keep on attacking. It's where their best workers come, and Gabbiadini! Just away from Davenport in the centre. If there'd been a goal there, that surely would have confirmed a victory that is still not sure. Time running out for Tottenham. Gascoigne leaving Bracewell. Armstrong held Tottenham up momentarily. And Hardiman won't prevent the corner. Well, this is the moment of truth, really, for both sides. If Sunderland can survive this corner, then the 3 goals will have brought 3 points. Naeem takes it. Gabbiadini gets it out. Still the referee lets play go on. And now they appeal for a penalty to Tottenham, and they don't get it. And Sunderland's loyal fans with a huge roar with the ball back safely in the arms of Tony Norman. It's been a long journey, but they will feel a worthwhile one. Samways. Gascoigne, he's done superbly. Now Walsh, who's tormented Sunderland since his arrival, and he's set up the equaliser for Lineker, who feels there's still time yet, maybe for Tottenham to win it. but surely they've saved 1 point. They were 2 goals down, and then 3-2 down, but their heads weren't down. And Walsh, having scored 2, provides the third here for the ever-alert Lineker. Heartbreak for Sunderland. It's all over. 3-3, a thrilling afternoon, and great credit to both sides. Another 6 from 6 points from games, but a great performance at White Hart Lane, worth more than the draw. 16th in the table. In the Zenith Data Systems Cup, away to Notts County, and after going behind, County battled back, dominating the second half. After extra time, it went to penalties, and 2 Tony Norman saves led to Sunderland winning the shootout 3-1. Back to the league now, and a home match against Norwich City.
Sunderland haven't won at Roker Park since September. They went ahead, though, after a quarter of an hour, and Marco Gabbiadini, number 10, so skillful on the edge of the area once more. Gordon Armstrong at the far post. Norwich, missing Fox and Blades through injury, get an equaliser on the hour. And Tim Sherwood, his third and certainly his best goal of the season. Norwich get the winner with 15 minutes to go, and the Sunderland fans none too happy about it. The point of controversy is whether Robert Rosario chests the ball there or handles it. Del Gordon shoots and makes the protests totally academic. Leeds travel to Roker Park unbeaten in the last 8 league games. Sunderland just 1 win in their last 8. Good effort in the first half, though, from Marco Gabbiadini off the crossbar. Sunderland's John Kay becomes the 5th First Division player to be sent off this weekend for a late challenge on Peter Haddock. But Sunderland hold on until 11 minutes from time, and they're a bit unfortunate to concede the only goal of the game. Mel Sterland with the shot, stopped by Tony Norman and just spinning over the line. Enough to give victory to United and consolidate that place in the top 6.
Away to Crystal Palace, Sunderland unveiled a striker with a famous name, Rush. David Rush, no relation to Ian, but with the same eye for goal. Sunderland into the lead. David Rush on as a substitute for Marco Gabbiadini. The Crystal Palace came strong in the closing stages. Andy Gray's long throw, John Salako with a deserved equaliser, and setting up a rousing final 10 minutes. With Salako again involved as Palace pushed forward for the winner. A run on the left-hand side, an inch-perfect cross, and Mark Bright directing it beyond Tony Norman. 3 more points for Palace, their title challenge looking less fanciful as the weeks go by.
The Rangers manager Don Howe has just bought 2 centre-backs, Darren Peacock and Andy Tilson, to cover for his long list of injured defenders. But the curse of Loftus Road has already sidelined Peacock with a ligament injury, and more rash tackling at the back hardly helped their cause against Sunderland. An early penalty given against Gus Caesar, but for once the luck was with Rangers, as Paul Bracewell's casual kick was easily saved by Jan Stejskal. Buoyed by this piece of good fortune, Rangers return to the attack. Ray Wilkins controlling the ball nicely from a corner and enabling Danny Maddox to head home his first of the season. The Sunderland striker, Colin Pascoe, obviously likes playing in London. He scored twice against Tottenham last month, and with the Rangers back 4, again showing signs of frailty, Pascoe was able to force the ball home to give Sunderland a deserved equaliser. The second half now, and Rangers' defence obviously hadn't learned from its first half excesses. Once again, a needless penalty. This time David Bardsley bringing down the injured Mark Gabbiadini's replacement in the Sunderland attack, David Rush. Kevin Ball given the job, and he made no mistake. Roy Wegerle has been a constant irritation to better First Division defences than Sunderland's this season, and it was the talented striker who again brought Rangers back into the game. He earned the penalty and scored it, 14 this season. Rangers now pressed forward for the winner. Bardsley floating in the cross for Mark Falco to volley past the helpless Tony Norman. 3 much-needed points for Rangers, and perhaps now the curse of Loftus Road can be lifted.
relief on Weir's side, though, with a win at home for Sunderland after 3 successive home defeats. Colin Pascoe in tremendous form, and his penetrating run 4 minutes after the interval ended with this ill-timed challenge from Glenn Cockerell. Kevin Ball keeps his cool to secure a promising-looking win for Sunderland.
Having slipped to 19th after those 4 successive defeats, the new year brings a win and a jump of 2 places up the table. Memories of the great 1973 semi-final came flooding back as Sunderland travelled to Arsenal in the FA Cup. 2 down at half-time, the Rokerites came back into the game after an own goal by David O'Leary, but were unable to score in the final minutes. Back to the league now, and it's off to Old Trafford and Manchester United.
Manchester United firing on all cylinders from the start. Webb's corner, Pallister's flick, Mark Hughes with the overhead kick. That's one after only 8 minutes. United really taking Sunderland apart, go 2 up after a quarter of an hour. Lee Sharp, still only 19 years old, too fast, too clever for the visitors all afternoon. Brian McClare, the scorer. United wrap it all up before the interval. Welsh international Hughes involved at the beginning and at the end of this move. This season, United have proved that on their day, they're a match for anyone, and this is very much their day. Hughes covers half the pitch to pop up and collect his 13th goal of the season in all competitions. Alex Ferguson's side have now lost just once in their last 18 games. A frustrating week for Chelsea on and off the pitch. They've until next weekend to appeal against a £105,000 fine imposed by the Football League for illicit payments to players. Gordon Jury knows the feeling. His header tipped over by Tony Norman. The Blues could have done without a spirited performance from the resurgent Sunderland. Dave Besant made a string of first-half saves to keep the Londoners in the match. Into the second half, and a move of rare quality from Sunderland, with striker Marco Gabbiadini feeding the ball out to the right. And when the cross eventually comes in, Colin Pascoe is there to head home his 4th goal of the season. In the dying minutes, Chelsea's misery compounded when striker Gordon Jury, one of a crowd of players who somehow fails to force the ball across the line for the equaliser. Jury later sent off for a late tackle, but 3 points for Sunderland to lift them out of the bottom 3.
Boosted by that league success, Sunderland travelled to Everton in the Zenith Data Systems Cup, but all interest in cup competitions ended in the last 18 minutes as Tony Cottee virtually single-handedly dismantled the Roker men. So now all that was left to play for was First Division safety, starting ironically at Goodison Park.
Everton had only scraped home in their FA Cup tie against non-league Woking last week, and against lowly Sunderland seemed similarly unable to move out of first gear. They needed a penalty to break the deadlock. Gary Owers handling midway through the second half, and it still wasn't a formality. Kevin Sheedy up against Tony Norman. A wonderful instinctive save, but that trusty left foot does the job second time around. Norman made rather more of a mess of Everton's second goal. Neil MacDonald floats over a cross for winger Peter Beagrie to send a well-directed, though none too powerful header towards his left-hand post. The Forest manager Brian Clough is still a legend in Sunderland after his time at Roker Park as a player in the early 60s. Sunderland's present-day favourite is Marco Gabbiadini, and he almost gave the Roker faithful the start they were looking for. His header off target that time. Despite their poor league position, Sunderland dominate the first half and again threatened to score after 38 minutes. Gordon Armstrong forcing a fine save from Mark Crossley. But it was only a temporary reprieve for Forest, and from the corner, Gabbiadini gives Sunderland the lead. Colin Pascoe knocks in the cross. Kevin Ball knocks it back, and there's Gabbiadini with his 9th of the season, all the more welcome since it's his first goal in 10 games. He's quick to acknowledge Ball's contribution, and a closer look shows the number 6 rising high with a marvellously controlled header to set up Gabbiadini's brave finish. Nottingham Forest had their best chance 4 minutes into the second half. Stuart Pearce, on one of his many forward runs, finds Roy Keane with space in the box, and it's Philip Starbuck on the end of a move, bringing the best out of Tony Norman. Sunderland keep up the pressure. A long pass from the influential Ball releases Gabbiadini, but an outstanding effort from the Forest keeper Crossley stops the young striker getting his second.
That game had been the first for Brian Mooney, a £225,000 signing from Preston North End. He took over in midfield from Gary Owers, who moved to right back. The 3 points against Forest improves Sunderland's position to 16th in the table, but it's still very tight at the bottom. The following week, a visit to Highfield Road. It resulted in a scoreless draw with fellow strugglers Coventry City. Then came a crucial trip to the bottom club, Derby County.
At the baseball ground, two teams desperately fighting to avoid relegation provided magnificent entertainment. Sunderland took the lead in the 12th minute. Gordon Armstrong here dispossessing Paul Williams. A 1-2 with Peter Davenport, and Armstrong's finish. Sunderland 1 up. Derby haven't won since they beat Sunderland over 3 months ago, and 5 minutes later the Rams look to be on their way to another defeat. Paul Bracewell finds Kevin Ball, and his cross met by Marco Gabbiadini, who chalks up his 10th of the season. It's 2-0. Only 25 minutes gone, and Derby went further behind. Gary Owers' free kick headed out by Mark Wright, only as far as Kevin Ball. 3-0 Sunderland. Derby may be propping up the First Division, but in Dean Saunders they have a striker who lives with the very best in the league. In the 38th minute, he takes Gary Micklewhite's pass before going on to beat Tony Norman in the Sunderland goal. On the stroke of half-time, the Welsh international gets a second. Williams makes amends for his earlier error and finds Derby favourite Ted McMinn. A good run from McMinn and a good cross too. He does well to pick out Saunders, and here's another quality finish. (3-2) then to Sunderland, but Derby haven't finished yet. 15 minutes to go. McMinn puts Saunders in once again before Norman brings him down. And who else but Saunders to save the match from the spot and keep alive the Rams' chances of staying up.
In the relegation struggle at Roker Park, Sheffield United continued their amazing recovery against their fellow strugglers Sunderland with their 6th win on the trot. The only goal of the game on 56 minutes. A long clearance misjudged by Sunderland's Gary Bennett, and Ian Bryson going through to make it 1-0. Sunderland did manage to get the ball into the net, but Kieran Brady's effort was disallowed for offside, and 3 points for Sheffield United to take them out of the bottom three in the table for the first time this season.
Unsettled at Anfield, but playing a day before the leaders Arsenal, Liverpool knew a win would put them top, at least for 24 hours. They would have taken an early lead had Ian Rush been in his usual merciless form in front of goal. In fact, Sunderland were the first to score. Colin Pascoe's cross finds David Rush, whose header strikes the post. But with standing keeper Mike Hooper stranded, Gordon Armstrong's persistence eventually pays off. It was John Barnes who got Liverpool back on track. He takes out two defenders, and his precise cross is neatly tucked away by Ian Rush. Goal number 21 for the First Division's leading scorer. Before half-time, Liverpool had clinched the points. David Speedy's chip releases Peter Beardsley, but his shot might have gone wide if Gary Owers hadn't intervened.
Sunderland let another lead slip. More points are dropped. Frustrating for Dennis Smith.
Well, we were 2-0 up at Wimbledon. With 8 minutes to go and drew 2 apiece. We were 2-0 up at half-time at Tottenham and winning 3-2 into the 90th minute to draw 3 apiece. 3-0 up at Derby. 3-3 apiece. Last week at Liverpool, where we played extremely well and everybody was there thought we deserved to win, but in the end we didn't. And it's no good people patting us on the back and saying what a good team we are. We played Arsenal twice, once in the league, once in the cup down there, and both times George Graham's gone, oh, that was hard, you made us sweat, and you played well, but we lost, and we've got to start winning a few.
So now only Derby are below Sunderland in the table. Next, a critical fixture against Aston Villa.
People say you're running out of games, and we are. I mean, and especially against teams like Villa, who are down there with problems as well. If we can get the 3 points today, it puts extra pressure on them. We've been down and around the bottom all season, so perhaps we can live with it a little bit better than they can if they actually get pulled down into it. And so we'll be looking for the 3 points, and they're extremely important.
Can you at this stage rely heavily on young players to do grown men's jobs?
Well, I've been forced to a certain extent. Kevin Ball has been possibly one of our best players this season, is suspended, so young Richard Ord comes into the squad, but as I've previously said, he's in the England under-21 squad, so that's not too bad. Up front, Marco Gabbiadini's out with an injury, so David Rush is in there, and he looks an extremely promising player. And we've got a young lad called Kieran Brady, who's an Irish youth international, and this lad can turn games on his own. So I think that you've got to give these people the opportunity. If they're good enough, they're old enough, and we'll find out this afternoon whether they're good enough or not.
Villa, as usual, operating with the 3 centre-backs. Having to try and cope with 2 very inexperienced forwards. They're lacking nothing in enthusiasm, and with plenty of skill as well. And here is David Rush for Sunderland. Great stop by Spink. It would have meant so much to Rush and to his teammates. Suddenly he came striding through in the clear, stretched for it, had to take it first time in truth, and Spink was equal to it. Rush. Cowans. Got in behind Hardiman, he's dragged Ord across. Oh, Cascarino, unmarked, and Roker Park. Here's a good ground for Cascarino again as he comes here with Aston Villa after that major contribution with Gillingham 4 years ago now when he sent Sunderland into the 3rd division. He's a scorer once more at Sunderland. Sunderland's defending here had to be questioned. Davenport. Taken on by Hours, quickening the tempo as Sunderland need to do that. Cornford. And then Davenport came in and Hours spun splendidly. Oh, and it was taken by Pascoe off Bracewell's foot. And not only has it cost Sunderland possession, it's allowed Aston Villa to have 5 men forward here. Blake's on the ball. I'm not quite sure what he wanted to do with it. Platt. And it just sped across ahead of Penrice. Kept in by Cascarino. Penrice involved again. Coming to terms with the 1st division. Cowans. Here's Mountfield. All this as a result of Pascoe and Bracewell getting in each other's way. And Penrice, can he provide for Cascarino again? Or even Chris Price? Cascarino. It's deflected. It's a cruel goal. What a contrast in emotions here. Cascarino applauds his own luck. And it's a sad, sad feeling for Sunderland. It hit Paul Bracewell and looped over Tony Norman, who could do nothing about it. So Cascarino has made another contribution. But it was Bracewell who diverted it in. And it's another back pass that took a lot of confidence. Well, when it works, it looks good, but could easily have been the folly of youth then. Blake, another current member of the England under-21 squad, but he'll tell you he knew exactly what he was doing. Brady, pulled back by Nielsen. Sunderland in a situation here, 10 minutes into the second half, when they badly need something to go their way. This free kick situation might supply it. Pascoe. Davenport at the far post. So, Sunderland rekindle their spirits. Quick free kick, caught Villa out, but not Davenport. Here's ours. Blake getting in another good tackle for Villa. Penrice across as well. Oh, the linesman's given the throw to Aston Villa, and Sunderland were caught completely flat-footed. Platt to Cascarino. Aston Villa can't believe their luck, and they can't make the use of it either. There would have been bedlam here, I think. The referee appeared to be pointing Sunderland's way, but the linesman indicated that it was a Villa throw. It was taken that way, and Sunderland were wildly out of position. But this time, Cascarino just couldn't round it all off. One-on-one against Tony Norman. Brady goes right at them again. Well, there were three in the centre, but this was the better chance for Villa. David Platt looked up. Everything wrong-footed for Sunderland. Cascarino totally unmarked, but Tony Norman anticipated, made his own luck. It's the second Sunderland substitution. Cornforth goes off. John Kay comes on. Normally a right back, so whether that means Gary Owers goes into midfield seems the most likely scenario. Oh, Cascarino won't go out, I don't think. Cowans, Platt. It is 3-1 now. Another chapter of accidents for Sunderland. And you can't make mistakes with David Platt on hand to take his total for the season to 20. A complete mishit by Cascarino. Norman felt he had to go for it, and Penrice actually, I think, headed it back. Cowans mishit it, but it was still enough to reach Platt, and the goalkeeper was nowhere. It was a very messy goal for Sunderland to concede, but Aston Villa won't mind. They'll take them any way that they come, and nobody takes them better than David Platt. Sunderland 1, Aston Villa 3. 13 minutes to go. Hours. Sunderland have a lot of players forward. And, Platt pushed Hours in the back. Offered immediate apology. To the referee's bad books for the delaying of the free kick through Platt and Cowans. Hardiman toward jumping. Now, can anyone round this off? It's Rush, and if Davenport could have stretched a millimetre further, it seemed, he might have pinched a second. Spink was struggling. David Rush drove it back, and in came Davenport as the ball kept on rolling wide. Sunderland
second from bottom, desperately need all 3 points against Palace at Roker to keep alive their First Division survival hopes. 35 minutes gone, and delightful play between Atkinson and Brady. And that's beyond Nigel Martin, and big things predicted for 19-year-old Kieran Brady. Palace, though, back on level terms 3 minutes after half-time. Long throw from Andy Gray. Alan Pardew drills in the equaliser. But Sunderland's youngsters are playing really well, and many people hope they'll be around in the First Division again next season. 9 minutes to go now, and Brady sets up David Rush to make it 2-1. Leeds have been showing the signs of a long season in recent weeks against Sunderland. They're back at their best. Just 5 minutes played, and Lee Chapman's header beats Tony Norman in the Sunderland goal. The floodgates open. 22 minutes gone. Leeds further ahead. Gordon Strachan at the heart of so many good moves. And Gary Speed's cross. Chapman is highest once more. Carl Shutt gets in behind Bennett for Leeds' second. There's a superb third 10 minutes before the interval. Mel Sterland's free kick. And look at that header from Gary Speed. 3-0. There's no holding Leeds in the second half. Little Strachan, splendid once again, and a simple tap-in for Speed. And 5 minutes from time, Chapman rounds off the scoring at Ellen Road to complete Leeds' biggest win of the season. Lee Chapman has now got 23 goals. He's the First Division's leading marksman. Relegation looming large over Roker these days. Sunderland 5 defeats out of their last 6 before this match with QPR, and things look even worse now. Andy Tilson heads home the only goal of the game on 48 minutes. His first goal for Rangers. That eases the London side's relegation worries, but it's looking bleak for Sunderland.
With Luton picking up a point, Sunderland lose more ground, now trailing by 5 points in the race to avoid relegation, but still having a game in hand. The next test at the Dell against Southampton.
Sunderland now look odds-on to make a quick return to the Second Division, despite getting off to a good start at the Dell. The German Thomas Hauser puts the North-Easterners in front on 26 minutes. His first league game since last October. Southampton are level just before the interval. What a cheeky goal as well. A back heel from Rodney Wallace. And that's 1-1. Southampton now get 2 in 9 minutes after the break. The first from a penalty after a scramble in the area. And amid all the confusion, a definite handball on the line. The referee points to the spot. Sunderland very unhappy about it. And Gordon Armstrong soon afterwards is sent off for dissent. Matthew Le Tissier puts away the penalty, and Southampton are 2-1 up. Worse to come for Sunderland. Southampton get a third late in the game. Simple goal as well. Alan Shearer, the scorer. And Sunderland go back to the northeast, contemplating next season back in the Second Division.
No joy at the Dell, so on now to what is effectively a 6-pointer at Kenilworth Road.
Sunderland keep their First Division survival hopes alive at Kenilworth Road. This the meeting between the two sides directly above Derby at the bottom of the table. Sunderland strike first. Bracewell sets up the chance for Gordon Armstrong, and that's a great effort from a narrow angle. 1-0 to Sunderland, 23 minutes played. Luton get their equaliser 10 minutes before half-time. Kingsley Black wide out on the left, and a good finish from Graham Rodger, 1-1. But Sunderland get the vital winner just after the hour. Substitute Marco Gabbiadini, back after a long injury layoff, takes it to the byline, and Colin Pascoe with the easiest of chances. Sunderland with a game in hand over Luton, still fighting to stay in Division 1.
So an escape route now possible. The Rokerites trailing Luton by just 2 points. That game in hand came the following Tuesday, and in a tense goalless draw, Sunderland did well to hang on after Kevin Ball was sent off just before half-time. The next league game could hardly be more challenging against league leaders Arsenal at Roker Park.
Tony Adams hit long again. Ball, oh, he's made a mistake here. Groves is in. Almost got it across there. Just the face of the goal, and Terry Groves, having had a ricochet come back to him very invitingly, came so close there to putting Arsenal 1-0 ahead.
Yeah, certainly Arsenal have had the better of the opportunities, and Terry Groves might have felt that he should have scored there. Certainly had a good opportunity.
Ball, little flick there by Gabbiadini. Runs on well to get it back again. There might be a chance here. So close to Gary Allers. And that was a beautiful move by Sunderland. And Gabbiadini was at the centre of it all. And
it was a great move. Al should have scored. We've got to be honest about it.
Here's Bracewell. Gabbiadini challenging Hauser, looking for something on the turn. It comes to Pascoe. Knocked away again. Hawk. Now ours. Long range shot, maybe. Down goes the keeper.
Yep, good effort that.
Good sound goalkeeping again by Dave Seaman. A wet ball skidding across the surface. That huge body of his, though, well behind it.
A long way out again, and gave Seaman plenty of time, although it was a good save.
Half-time whistle in wet and windy northeast of England. This crucial game standing goalless at half-time. Sunderland 0, Arsenal 0. That's the story at Roker Park. Here's Hardiman. It's a good run by the left back. But Bold on the other end of it for Arsenal. Ready to make his move. Now by Gary Bennett. Finding Hauser. Bennett going on. Gabbiadini's up alongside him. But Adams was there. Here's Bracewell. That time Bold was there. Those two big Arsenal central defenders doing what they've done so often this season. A really excellent job. But here comes Sunderland again. Hauser to Pascoe. Hauser waiting in the middle. Played it back to Gabbiadini. And stabbed away that time by Dixon. Howes missed the double kick there. And Hillier, less spectacularly, finds Campbell. This could be dangerous now for Sunderland. Campbell. And it ballooned off the defender. And saved right on the line by goalkeeper Tony Norman.
Campbell signalled to the referee straight away that Bennett's injured, yeah. I think there was just a collision. Again, it wasn't a particularly dangerous one. They just seemed to go for the ball.
He's a big, strong fella, Kevin Campbell, but
yeah,
he realised straight away that Gary Bennett was in trouble.
He did indeed.
For a moment, Tony Norman was in trouble there, but
he was.
A bit of safe gathering.
I think it probably was a kick. I think Campbell probably caught him with his foot. But it was a good saving tackle.
So Davis with it. Campbell at the near post this time. Bold has gone deeper. And that's just where Davis is looking for him. It might be Tony Adams. It could be Alan Smith. In the end, it's nobody as Sunderland scramble it away. Winterburn. Merson. Oh, what a lovely jinky run by Merson. Now Campbell on the turn, just over the top.
That was a good effort, that was good football, particularly by Paul Merson. And I think actually Merson's the man who could actually turn this for Arsenal if he's given enough of the ball.
Gabbiadini, the foul there by Tony Adams. He's saying that Gabbiadini jumped.
Here we can see this jinky little run again by Merson.
Oh, yes.
And he's stuck out there wide, and they're not really playing to him as well as they might. And that's a good turn and shot by Campbell. But I think he's the man who could create the situation here.
Sunderland fans on tenterhooks, of course, but it's nothing new for them. Reading the local paper this morning, Jim, that this is the 14th time in 16 seasons that Sunderland's season has really hung on the last two matches of the season. 14 times in the last 16, either going up or down. But what about this for a break by Pascoe? That's a terrific break by Colin Pascoe, but the shot was just wide. Didn't quite catch that properly, but what a run that was. And not going to upstage Jimmy Greaves by suggesting man of the match, but Pascoe has done so much work through those midfield areas, and what a break this is. Jimmy?
Yeah, it was a great run. He's taken the Arsenal team on whenever he could, and clearly a good shot. I think Seaman probably had it covered, but it was a good effort.
There's Brady, the substitute.
He hasn't put it.
That's a brilliant bit of play there. Beating Hillier. It might come for Gary Hour. Might come for Hours again. Oh, a terrific save by Seaman. That was just going to glance in off that post. And big David Seaman stretched that 6'3" frame of his just far enough to fingertip it away. A brilliant save from an excellent move. And a corner which Hardiman will now take for Sunderland. Well, Sunderland really were almost in wonderland there. It was a fingertips difference between a goal and a corner. Oh, and Ball was up there with almost a free header. Adams reacted fairly late to that one. And he goes behind for the goal kick. But what about that Seaman save, Jimmy?
Well, it's the save that might have put the end to Sunderland's misery here. It was a great one too, and super shot, great save, a tremendous save.
Knocked away by O'Leary. The final whistle. And still a little bit to play for in this First Division season. Arsenal can wrap it up on Monday night. Sunderland wonder for a few more days about their future, but a terrific performance by Sunderland for all that.
With Luton losing at Everton, the two clubs go into the last game of the season equal on 34 points, equal on goal difference. Luton ahead of Sunderland, having scored more goals. What would relegation mean if it did happen?
Great dent to my pride. I've not been involved with any relegation, and I always believed that I was capable of keeping a team in the league because we can keep the spirit right, and I think it would upset the fans a great deal, obviously, but we will expect to carry on working, and if we do go down, we will come straight back up. We're certain of that.
Absolutely set.
Oh yes, we know that we're a lot stronger now than we were 12 months ago, and the side and the club has got better and better over the last 4 years, and anybody who's been around for those years can see the benefits all round.
So on the last day of the season, whatever Luton did at home to Derby, Sunderland had to better at Manchester City.
Gabbiadini gets in the cross, but Alan Gunn, he's given Sunderland the free kick. Pascoe placing the ball. Sunderland have sent both centre-backs forward. Gary Hours is waiting way beyond the far post, making his run now. It's left for Pascoe to take. Oh, and the header was blocked with the goalkeeper betraying his inexperience. It was Gabbiadini at the far post. And very nearly a flying start for Sunderland. But now they might be in trouble. Harper. Heath. And Hardiman leaves it to Norman. But this was the moment when hopes were raised so high for Sunderland for an electric start. What will encourage Sunderland is Manchester City's rather poor defensive record, the weakest of the leading clubs, only 4 clean sheets in 37 First Division games. Peter Reid will want to tidy that up for next season. But City do have the capacity to get goals. And it's an interesting formation, really, with 3 up front. David White, who has been playing through the middle, is still there and hasn't been pushed back to his more usual role, wide on the right-hand side. So he's there, Quinn is there, and Clark as well. And Quinn is onside. If he can get it down here, there's trouble for Sunderland, who scored! Niall Quinn, after 10 minutes. So this 3-pronged attack pays dividend
in as much as one of the strikers makes a goal here and takes it cleverly. Quinn got the better of Kay and then had a confrontation with Norman, which he won as well. Paul Hardiman stayed down inside his own penalty area. Well, Brady comes on to go to the left-hand side. Warren Hawke has moved to the right. John Kay has gone to left-back. And Gary Hours to a position that he knows pretty well at right-back. Bracewell. It comes for Pascoe. Looked like handball by Poynton. He points to his chest, but the referee has spotted it. Pascoe was turning the ball there into space. He might have been first to fill that space. It's a free kick to Sunderland. Bracewell and Hawke over the ball. And here comes Hours. Margetson drops down very quickly. Colin Pascoe was the decoy here. And Gary Hours, as you can see from this angle, had a good view of the goal. Pascoe put into play here with Kay. And goes Gabbiadini! It's a thrilling goal for Sunderland. And there's hope again. 5 minutes before half-time. Great play between Pascoe and Kay. And a cross that was met right on the meat by Marco Gabbiadini. John Kay has had to move to left-back. And he showed his aptitude for it with that storming run. And what a great header. And the Sunderland support, well, they're jubilant. Gabbiadini, who spent much of the first half in offside positions, but he finds White here, and the shot is wide. David White's shot. He was challenged as he let go. Maybe that just put him off target. Davenport trying to pinch it back for Sunderland. Good play by Bracewell. This is Brady on his good left foot. It's a teasing cross. Bennett is there. Back from Hours. There are two over on the far side for Sunderland, and the ball didn't quite drop for either of them, Davenport or Brady. It's the crosses that are troubling Manchester City. There's another one here. And Quinn recognising the danger and getting to it for City at the far post. Pascoe, who is a big influence at the moment. Davenport. And now Bennett. Can they play it right here? Not quite. Gabbiadini tries to curl one. Hendry got in the way. That wasn't a foul because Gabbiadini got to the ball as well as Poynton. And Redmond's header is miscued. It's gone behind for a corner. It'll just be time for it to be taken. It's a question now of how long Alan Gunn will add on. He's just having a look at his watch. We've had 45 minutes. Bracewell. Davenport! Bennett! Goal for Sunderland! And Gary Bennett has come back to Main Road. And put Sunderland into the lead in this frenetic period just before half-time. Davenport volleyed towards goal, and Bennett made sure the ball went in via the goalkeeper. what a turnaround. It was mishit in truth by Davenport. It turned out to be a great cross. Here's Quinn, who had given Manchester City the lead. In the depths of adversity here, Sunderland are coming on strong. Pointer's throw. Heath. Hours miss kicks. And Quinn has equalised. Desperate moment for Hours. 2 for Quinn. 2 for Manchester City. And when Sunderland needed to keep calm, tried to hook it away and put it on a plate for Quinn. And the way his season has gone, he's not missing gifts like that. Harper. Heath. The cross is on for Quinn. He's got to it and he's angled it behind Wayne Clark to Sunderland's considerable relief. And here's the counter-attack led by Davenport. Hours to the right, Brady to the left. Davenport on his own through the centre. It's a glorious run, pushed out by Margetson, and Brady can't get to it. And Sunderland have a free kick after a really heroic burst by Peter Davenport, who carried all before him, was only denied a superb solo goal by this 19-year-old goalkeeper. Bracewell and Pascoe looking for a route forward again, and they might have found it with Gabbiadini. Can Sunderland go back in front? No! And they look in vain for a penalty. Gabbiadini seemed to have done everything here. Great approach work to give him the ball in the first place. He slipped the goalkeeper, but couldn't slip it in from a tightish angle. You'll see just how tight here. Hendry went for him, and so did Margetson. Quinn. Heath. And that completes it for Manchester City. David White at the far post means a City win. Sunderland defeated here and out of the First Division. Sunderland have entertained over the last 9 months often enough, but they just haven't acquired enough points for their skills, and there is no survival for them in this extraordinary scenario on the last day of the season. Dennis Smith accepts his fate with good grace. Sunderland, who came up by an unusual route, but they haven't been able to hold on to their place. They might have done after a glorious first half here. The spectators and the players are united here in their grief. City will look back fondly on the last 9 months and will reflect on the unusual double that relegation for Derby 3 weeks ago and for Sunderland today was confirmed on this ground. Defeat in the last minute, but in the end it was irrelevant as Luton win at home. Sunderland relegated after just one season back in Division 1. Early exits too in all 3 cup competitions, poor reward for some enterprising football. Relegated, but with the potential to bounce back with players of the calibre of the season's top scorer, Marco Gabbiadini.